Good evening, everyone. I'm Ankit and you're watching the Indian Express analysis, which goes live every day at 4 p.m. on StudyIQ IAS English channel. Today is 1st of May and we are going to discuss important news and articles that have appeared in the newspaper. We'll start off our today's discussion by understanding what are cabinet committees, because recently, after the Pahalgam terrorist attack and also because of the events yesterday, which we'll discuss today, the focus is on how the cabinet committees function, because out of these cabinet committees, we are witnessing important results. First is that we impose certain diplomatic sanctions on Pakistan. That was the outcome of cabinet committee on security. And also yesterday, after government announced caste census, this was made under the cabinet committee on political affairs. So how cabinet committees function, what are its composition, which of the cabinet committees are more important, some are less important, all of this we are going to discuss. Now this essentially deals with the functioning of the government, which becomes the part of GS paper 2 syllabus. In the second article, very closely related to the cabinet committee, is the decision to hold caste census. Now this caste census, or actually enumeration of people on the basis of their caste, has been happening, but this was restricted to people belonging to scheduled caste and scheduled tribes category. Now the government has decided that each and every respondent in the census will also answer the questions which caste do they belong to, and this is what is caste census is. So why the decision was taken now, all of this we are going to cover in our today's discussion. Now this caste census directly and indirectly deal with two important topics, that is GS paper 1, role of caste in Indian society, and also GS paper 2, that is occurrences of census. In the third article, we'll be understanding how Padma awards are given every year, and also we'll try to solve a question that appeared in the UPSC prelims examination. Yes, you're right, question have indeed been asked on Padma and Bharat Ratna awards in the UPSC prelims. That is why this topic becomes important. And 2 days before only we saw the Padma awardees of this year, which was announced back in Republic Day. They were handed over with their respective awards by the Madam President of India, Srimati Draupadi Murmu. Now this is relevant from miscellaneous topic and someone closely related to Indian polity also, because if you look at Article 18 of the Constitution, that article says that you getting a Padma award does not grant you to have a title like doctors or like military titles. You can't have a title called Padma Bhushan, Padma Shri before your name, because these does not amount to a title. These are given in certain circumstances. We'll discuss everything in our today's discussion. In the fourth article, we'll be understanding fair and remunerative price. What is fair and remunerative price? How is it different from other pricing that has been announced by the government, that is minimum support price? We'll discuss it in our today's discussion. Let me tell you right now, fair and remunerative price are announced for the sugarcane, whereas rest of the crops, MSPs are announced. Okay, so we'll understand what what kind of factors does government calculate or understand before telling you or recommending what will be the fair and remunerative prices of sugarcane, right? This is relevant from GS paper 3 perspective, that is Indian agriculture. In the fifth article, we'll discuss the yesterday's left out article, that is about a critically endangered species, red crowned roof turtle, because these turtles were introduced in a wildlife sanctuary located in the western part of Uttar Pradesh, and now that is why these species that are critically endangered automatically becomes important from our exams perspective. And in the last article, if the time permits, we'll be discussing about the Cholistan desert, because this desert which is located in Pakistan, this is a subject of protest between the main political parties of Pakistan because of construction of a Cholistan canal. So we'll look into the region where this Cholistan desert is related. So these kind of places that are in news sometimes can be directly or indirectly asked in the UPSC exam, which we have covered already, right? So these are the 6 articles that we are going to discuss. Now, good evening everyone. Sarang, Augustine, Soma, Kamlesh, Priyalatta, Shushmita, good evening. I don't know if you are able to see this video. Let me check. Give me a name, sir. I am new in UPSC. Is it enough to follow Indian Express only without the Hindu? Yes. You can refer to either one of those 2 newspapers. If you follow them religiously, it is my promise to you, either one of those newspapers, you will be sorted when it comes to current affairs, because articles are generally covered in both of the newspapers. Both are equally good. Okay. So need not worry about any one particular paper, just follow it. If you want to follow Indian Express, good. If you want to follow Hindu, that is also good. Okay. I hope I've made your doubts clear. Now the notes of this session as usual will be available on my Telegram channel ATS Live, so you can search this channel on the top right hand corner of your app. And also if you don't want to do that, you want to make things easier, you can scan this QR code, it will take you directly to my channel. I upload notes, all of the sessions that I take on YouTube, I upload the notes in this very channel. And also there is a separate discussion channel attached to it. You can join that channel, and if you have any doubts regarding the sessions or anything related to UPSC, you can ask me or you can ask your fellow aspirants. Any one of you will help you in that regard. Okay. Now let's start our today's discussion with our first article. Sheetal, good evening. Guruji, Soma, namaskar. Guruji. Yes, Vaishnavi, good evening. Now this is the first article that we are going to discuss today. This article, if you say caste census will be held with national consensus, and the Home Minister Amit Shah has called it a historic. But we are going to discuss caste census in our next article. Okay. My focus in this article is that this announcement was made after a cabinet meeting, particularly a committee of the cabinet, that was Cabinet Committee on Political Affairs. So this brought my attention that we haven't until now in our sessions covered what is a cabinet committee. So let me tell you first what is a cabinet committee, and then in the second article we'll be covering what and why is caste census happening in India right now. Okay. Now borrowing this context, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has convened important meetings of the cabinet committees like Cabinet Committee on Political Affairs, Cabinet Committee on Security, following the recent terror attack that happened in Pulwama. Now the Cabinet Committee on Political Affairs has approved caste enumeration in the forthcoming population census. According to, it was announced yesterday in a press conference which was held by Minister of Information and Broadcasting, who's also the Minister of Railway and Communication, Ashwini Vaishnav, and this announcement was made yesterday, right? So in this regard, let us understand first of all what is Cabinet Committee. But before understanding Cabinet Committee, let us understand where this concept of Cabinet Committee emerged from. Now this concept of Cabinet Committee, it emerged during the colonial period, that is when Indian Councils Act of 1861 was passed for the first time during the tenure of then Viceroy Lord Canning. Now this Indian Councils Act, it for the first time provided what is known as a cabinet system. Now you understand what happens in a cabinet system. See, there is one prime minister who is in charge of the government, right? But to deal with different aspects of policy making and governance, so for example, home affairs, you have a separate ministry, and that ministry headed by a cabinet minister. Similarly, Ministry of Finance is headed by a different cabinet minister known as Minister of Finance, and similarly all the other ministries are headed by respected cabinet ministers. So this is what is known as a cabinet system of government, and all of them report, or they are reporting to the Prime Minister of India, who is the executive head of the Indian government. Okay. Now this is what is also known as portfolio system. You allocate different portfolios, that is different ministries to different ministers. Now this emerged for the first time after the passage of Indian Council Act 1861, which provided for an executive council to aid and advise then Governor General. Understood? So this is how cabinet systems and committees have emerged from this particular act. Please remember this question might be asked. Now this is basically the same thing. Now let us understand the features of cabinet committees. Now cabinet committees, what it does is that few of the cabinet ministers, they are segregated and a separate committee is formed. Suppose if a committee is regarding economic affairs, right? So Minister of Finance will be there, Prime Minister obviously will be there. Similarly, Ministry of Commerce Affairs, Urban Development, any department which some way or the other deals with economic issues, agriculture, etc., they will be categorized into the Economic Affairs Cabinet. Similarly, whenever there is a Cabinet Committee on Security, all the other ministries that one or way or the other deals with security aspects, they will be categorized into a Cabinet Committee. So there is a larger cabinet which consists of all the councils of ministers, but to ease and make the decision making more effective, you constitute different committees comprising of few of the ministers so that decision making is quick. You need to convene only a few members to make that decision. So these are not constitutional in nature. These are what are known as extra constitutional in nature. Why am I calling it an extra constitutional body? Because cabinet committees in general are not mentioned in our constitution. Rather, their legal occurrence happens from a law which has been passed by the Indian Parliament known as Government of India Transactions of Business Rule 1961. This legislation, it provides for establishments of cabinet committee. Now, there are two types of cabinet committee. Some are standing committee, which means these are permanent in nature, and some can be constituted on a need to know basis, that are called as ad hoc committees. Understand? And all of these cabinet committees, they can be constituted only by one person, that is the Prime Minister of India. Only he has the power to make different committees, and only he has the power to appoint X or Y ministers to that committee. Understood? Any doubts? Now, what are the features of cabinet committees? Now, the membership under these committees, they can vary. It can include 3 members and it can also include 8 members or anything in between. Generally, they are made up of only cabinet ministers, but you will also see non-cabinet ministers. They can also be invited to meeting. These can be important MPs, these can be government functionaries like NSA, sometimes even the generals, RBI governor, etc. They can also be called in the meeting on a necessary or a need to know basis. Usually the membership of these committees only include cabinet ministers. Now, the chairman of any committee which includes Prime Minister, automatically the Prime Minister will be the in charge of that committee. But sometimes there are some committees in general which does not include Prime Minister. For example, there is this Cabinet Committee on Parliamentary Affairs, and you know who is heading this currently? It is headed by the Minister of Defence, Rajnath Singh. So whenever any cabinet committee includes Prime Minister will automatically be the head. But if it does not include Prime Minister, which happens sometimes, it will be headed by a senior cabinet minister, which we have seen in this regard. Okay. Now, at present, there are 8 cabinet committees functioning in India, and this number can be increased or decreased as per the wishes of Prime Minister on a political basis. Okay. So this is entirely a political decision on how you want to run your government. Now, let us discuss important cabinet committees. First, as we have discussed, the most important cabinet committee of India is known as Cabinet Committee on Political Affairs, and it is also sometimes called as a super cabinet because of its political importance. Now, this committee is headed by Prime Minister, and other members of this committee includes Minister of Defence, Minister of Home Affairs, Road and Transport Minister, Minister of Finance, and Minister of Commerce. And you know what this committee does? This committee deals with anything that might be related to central-state relations. This might even examine economic and political issues that require a wider perspective. So understand, deciding on whether to hold caste census or not, this is probably one of the most important things that the government will do. So that is why it required to convene Cabinet Committee on Political Affairs, where these many members discussed and then decided that India should hold caste census. Okay. So this is the most important cabinet committee. Now, also after the Pahalgam terror attack, we saw Cabinet Committee on Security, its meeting was convened. Now, also that Cabinet Committee on Political Affairs was called what? It was called a super cabinet. This is sometimes informally referred to as war cabinet. Okay. Now, this committee is headed by Prime Minister and includes Minister of Defence, Home Affairs Minister, Minister of Finance and External Affairs Minister. And the functions of this committee is that it makes all important decisions relating to defence policies and expenditure. So, suppose if you want to buy any defence platform, the approval of that defence platform, whether to buy or not, is given by Cabinet Committee on Security. Similarly, it is apex body regarding appointment of officials in the national security bodies. So, we saw National Security Advisory Body was constituted after the meeting of Cabinet Committee on Security. What is this NSAB? I will tell you in the later sessions. Okay, not today. Now, it also deals with all issues relating to law and order and national security of India. So, therefore, it is sometimes informally called as a war cabinet. What was CCPA called as informally? Super cabinet. Understood? These are not legal names. These are mostly informal names. Now, let us see if you are able to solve this question. With reference to cabinet committees in India, consider the following statements. Quickly give me the answer. Achal, Reshma, good evening. Can you please explain, Guruji, what Soma? What do I need to explain again? Well, they are administrative bodies established under the provisions of Constitution. Again, incorrect. I told you these were established as per the rules, that is Government of India Transaction of Business Rules. The Prime Minister decides the composition and functions of this committee. This is correct. So first is correct, second is first is incorrect, second is correct. Option B is the right answer. All of you, Vaishnavi, Reshma, give me a name. Sarang, Shushmita, Sheetal, Kamlesh, Amar, Priyalata, Sudhamati. I hope I have pronounced your name correctly. All of you are right. Now let us move to the most important article of the day. This is the second article. Now this appeared in the explain section, as you can see, which is on page 21 today, and the relevance of this article is from both paper 1 and paper 2. Paper 1 has a role of caste in Indian society and paper 2 deals with policy making, etc. Right? So we'll understand census in general helps in policy making. Now the Cabinet Committee on Political Affairs, which is again headed by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, has approved the enumeration of caste which will be held in the upcoming census only, because there were several decades old demand according to this, and government initially was against holding caste census, but now it has reversed its position and it has formally articulated that it will held or it will hold the caste census in the ongoing census which is expected to happen. Now data which has been collected in census since India got independent, it included data on the caste of people. But what you have to remember, that only the people belonging to scheduled caste and scheduled tribes, they were required to give their caste details, and also people gave their religious dominations, right? So when it came to members of castes other than scheduled caste and scheduled tribes, these caste groups were not enumerated in the census exercise. So whenever you any census coordinator or enumerator came to you and asked you, sir, whether do you belong to SC or ST caste, you said no, so no caste data was recorded. Other demographic details, your name, your address, your occupation, your religion, that was written down in the census data, but not your caste if you did not belong to these two castes. Remember, so the most recent caste based data that the government of India has, you know, when it got that data on the census of 1931, because caste enumeration happened in the census which happened during the colonial period. However, after 31 census, 1941 census also was held, which also took down your caste related data, but this was carried down during the World War II, and the caste data, they were never released in this census. So currently, whatever the recent and the most exact data that the government has about the caste of its own population, it is based on the census of almost 94 years old data. Understand? So this is why we need to conduct caste census. Now ahead of the first census which happened in independent India, the government quite consciously chose to avoid the question of caste, because at that time Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru, he had highlighted that in independent India, if we started to ask people their caste, it will actually solidify and make it rigid the caste identities in the people, which independent India did not want it to happen, because caste is also the basis of discrimination that had happened in Indian society, and it has set Indian societies back. So going forward, when India got independent, one of the ills that it wanted to leave behind was the caste based problem. That is why this kind of questions were avoided in the census which happened in the independent India. However, the demands for such caste census have been repeatedly raised, especially by parties who have a huge voter base when it comes to a section of population who are now identified as other backward classes or OBCs, and they primarily belong to communities who are engaged in farming or belonging to artisan communities, right? But even then, no Indian government has carried out a full count of caste based membership data when it comes to census since the time India got independent until now, right? So this is why we try to avoid such caste based census. Now in absence of such census, you understand there is right now no proper estimate that how many population in India belong to other backward classes, or within this OBC larger category, what is the population composition of individual caste, right? So we do not have that kind of data. So whenever it becomes that we need to provide reservations to OBC, we depend on other kind of enumeration, and that is not an exact data when it comes to being the exact data that can come out of census. So when the government decided to provide reservations for OBC, it constituted what was known as Mandal Commission, and this commission estimated that the OBC population was 52%. It was just an estimation. It was not based on the solid data, right? And other estimates have also been based on national sample survey data, but these are not as reliable as compared to census data. So therefore, political parties have also made their own estimates when it comes to elections. So we do not have an estimate. We only have an estimate. We do not have an exact data. That is why we need to have an exact caste based data. Now in 2020 there was this UPA government which was headed by Prime Minister Manmohan Singh, and that time there was this huge demand for conducting a caste based data because census were to happen in 2011. So at that time, then Law Minister Mr. Virappa Moily, he wrote to the Prime Minister asking that caste and community based data should be collected during the census exercise of 2011. But then the Home Minister back then, Mr. P. Chidambaram, he apprised the Parliament that there are many logistical and practical difficulties when it comes to asking the caste data, because whenever the person is trained who are going to take your census data, they are only told that you ask the questions to the respondent, and whatever the respondent gives answer to, you just write that down. But when the respondents give you the data relating to caste, you have no actual method to verify those data, right? So that is why this was the logistical and practical problem that faced. Therefore, it was decided not to conduct this caste census back even in 2011. But government was under several pressure, because in the UPA government there were several regional based parties who were the allies to the UPA government, and they got their voter base from these OBC communities. So under continued pressure by the UPA allies, Dr. Singh's government, they decided to set up a group of ministries or group of ministers under then Finance Minister Pranab Mukherjee to examine this issue. And this committee recommend that instead of conducting the caste based survey in the census, why don't we conduct a separate exercise which will ask people their caste based census, right? And this was called as socio-economic caste census. And in this socio-economic caste census, which was conducted as a separate exercise after the 2011 census, the population enumeration and their caste was done in the socio-economic caste census. So this was the first instance in the independent India when we asked people their caste based data. Now this was carried out in both rural and urban area. In rural area, this was conducted by Ministry of Rural Development, and in urban area, it was conducted by Ministry of Urban Development. And this data was published in 2016, but the caste based data was excluded so as not to divide our society. Now this raw caste based data which was carried out, or which was asked in the SECC census, is what handed to Ministry of Social Justice, which formed an expert group of committee under the then Niti Aayog Vice Chairperson Mr. Arvind Pangaria for classification and categorization of caste. You know why you need classification and categorization of caste? Because the caste based terminologies differ when we go from one state to another. So person from one state might identify as X caste. Similar people who are engaged in similar kind of a work and similar background, they might identify themselves as Y caste. So you need to understand what kind of caste are similar, and you need to categorize and segregate them from one another. So therefore, this data you can't publish in a raw format. You need to analyze and process it and segregate it as per your own needs. Therefore, this data even today is yet to be made public, and that is why even today the government is under significant pressure to conduct a caste-based census. Even the opposition parties have highlighted the same. Now, in recent times, a constitutional body, National Commission for Backward Classes, in 2021, it urged the government to collect data on the populations of OBC as a part of Census 2021 exercise. But we understood at that time COVID-19 pandemic was there, so government decided not to conduct this census exercise, and therefore ahead of Lok Sabha election 2024, almost every political party except BJP, they were in support of conducting such caste-based census. And of late, several state governments, they have also sought to implement a quota within a quota, that is subcategorization of OBCs, and for that they need data. So they are conducting their respective surveys and census, which they are calling as surveys, because essentially conducting the census is the only responsibility and the sole responsibility of union government, not state government. So therefore, when other states are conducting their respective surveys, there is no uniformity in how these surveys are conducted. So therefore, you need a national survey that will identify each and every citizens and will segregate them as on the basis of caste. So this is the recent development that has happened in this regard. Now what happens now after the government has said we will conduct the caste-based census in the ongoing and upcoming census? So in 2021 census, which was delayed due to COVID-19 pandemic and has been on hold ever since, the exercise is understood to be imminent, but till now there are no dates of when this 2021 census will actually happen. Now operationally, the census is a massive exercise which is happening in two parts. First, house listing and house census is conducted, and in the second part, population enumeration is done, and the caste based census will happen in this second stage. Now earlier, the questionnaire which the census based persons will ask the respondents were finalized, but you understand now this will have to be changed because you also need to ask caste based data. Now the data which will be collected by the census will impact government policies and boundaries of political constituencies. How? I will tell you. Now I told you already that delimitation requires to be happened after every census. So you need latest population data so that you can rearrange the political boundaries of political constituencies in India. So the full delimitation of Lok Sabha and state assemblies is expected to happen in 2026, and so that you need the latest data of 2021 census, and it has been on hold since 1971 for various reasons which we have already discussed. Now also there is another important implementation that needs to be done, that is provision of reservation for women in all legislatures, that is Lok Sabha and state legislative assembly, and you can do only after the census and delimitation exercise. So this also will be implemented after the census data. And also caste based census is certain to give fillip or demand of increased reservations for certain communities, and also you can do subcategorization within the caste categories so that the benefits of reservation is available to all. Okay, so these are the benefits of census, and now that census is going to happen, this will be the outcomes of that census. Understood? Any doubts up till now? Now moving to the third article, you can see I have borrowed this from the Indian Express website. It says that these many people have received their respected Padma awards from the President, Mrs. Draupadi Murmu. Right now, recently the President of India gave the Padma awards to the awardees, which were announced back in the Republic Day, and these were done in the investiture ceremony which happened in the Rashtrapati Bhavan. So this brought my attention to what is Padma awards. I need to tell you. Now Padma awards in general, they are one of the highest civilian honors that are available to citizens of India and to also foreign citizens, and this is announced annually on the eve of Republic Day, which is on the 25th of January. Government every year announces who will be the Padma awardees. Now the total amount of awards that the government can give every year, excluding the people who have become, who are not alive anymore, or excluding people who are not the Indian citizens, government cannot award more than 120 Padma awards in a particular year, right? Now also what you have to remember, as per the article 18 of the Indian Constitution, this award does not amount to a title and it can't be used as a suffix or a prefix in the awardee's name. Now only two types of titles are accepted in India legally, that is the title known as doctor, which is given to the people belonging to health sector and also to people who have gotten their post degree in doctorate, right? And also the defense related titles like your Navy or your Army or the Air Force titles, these are accepted in India. Except these, all the other titles are not allowed in India. So even when you get Padma awards like Padma Bhushan, Padma Vibhushan, Padma Shri, you can't add Padma Shri before your name. Understand? This is not permitted. Now, the history of these Padma awards, the government of India started these Padma awards back in 1954 and there were only two awards back then that was awarded, that is Bharat Ratna and Padma Vibhushan. Now, after that, government added different layers to it, that is Padma Vibhushan had three classes named Pehla Varg, Dusra Varg and Tisra Varg. So, to make things simpler, government added that they will be renamed as Padma Vibhushan, Padma Bhushan and Padma Shri in 1955. So, this is the history of these awards. Now, there are three categories now among these Padma Awards. The highest one is separate from them, that is the highest civilian award that is offered in India is Bharat Ratna. After that comes Padma Awards. The highest of the Padma Awards is Padma Vibhushan, which is awarded for exceptional and distinguished service. Whereas Padma Bhushan is awarded for distinguished service of a high order, Padma Shri is awarded for distinguished service. So these are the pecking order. Highest one is Padma Vibhushan, second one is Padma Bhushan, and third one is Padma Shri, and even above them is what is the highest civilian award in India, known as Bharat Ratna. Okay. Now about Padma Awards. Now these are awarded every year, as I have told you, and the recommendation on who to give the awards to is made by the committee known as Padma Awards Committee. Now this committee is constituted every year by the Prime Minister of India, and it is headed by the Cabinet Secretary. It includes other members of the government also, that is Home Secretary, Secretary to the President, and 4 to 6 eminent persons as member. And the nomination, so that the names which will be considered by this committee is open to public, and you can also nominate your name in this particular committee, that please give me the particular Padma Award. You can give your suggestions to this Padma Award committee, and they will analyze and decide accordingly, right? So other people can recommend your name and you yourself can recommend your name. Dhananjay, I have told you about Bharat Ratna. Now there are certain facts that you need to remember about these awards. First of all, that a higher category of Padma Award can only be conferred on a person after at least 5 years from the previous award you have gotten it, right? So suppose you have gotten Padma Shri in say 2011, right? So you won't get Padma Bhushan or Padma Vibhushan before 2016, because at least 5 years needs to be have elapsed before you are awarded the higher category of award. Now Padma Awards, they are given every year, but has not been given in year 1978, 1979 and from 1993 to 97. So these were the years when the giving out of Padma Awards were paused. Now the number of Bharat Ratna recipients is restricted to a maximum of 3 per year. So this is the maximum amount of Bharat Ratna that you can give. And total amount of Padma awardees in a particular year, except people who have died and except people who are not Indian citizens, you can't give more than 120 Padma Awards every year. I hope you remember that. Okay. Now let's see if you are able to solve this PYQ which appeared in 2021. You have to identify statements that are not correct. I don't know if Baga Spinks is there today or not. He usually forgets to read them. Well, Bharat Ratna and Padma Awards are titled under Article 18(1) of the Constitution. This is incorrect. I told you only doctor title and the military titles like captain, like major, like general, these are allowed in India. Except them, no other titles are allowed, including Bharat Ratna and Padma Awards. You can't add Bharat Ratna Lal Krishna Advani or Bharat Ratna APJ Abdul Kalam to your name, right? Similarly, Padma Awards, which were instituted in year 1954, they were suspended more than once in 1978, 79 and between 93 to 97. Okay. So second statement also incorrect. The number of Bharat Ratna awardees restricted to a maximum of 5 in a particular year. This is also incorrect. Maximum of 3 only Bharat Ratnas can be given in a particular year. So all of these 3 are incorrect. Therefore, option D is the right answer to this question. Now, 1st of May, today's 1st of May, and StudyIQ is starting the May evening batch, and this batch will start from 7th of March. Now in this batch, which is a foundation level batch, we teach each and every subject to the aspirants, which are taught by the subject matter experts, and also you have an option to enroll for yourself for the pre as well as for the mains test series. Also, you are provided with each and every benefits that are available in StudyIQ courses in the diamond batches, and some benefits are available for platinum and gold batches. What are the benefits that are available in diamond and not available in gold and platinum? This is the PPT that you can refer to. Now, to take admissions in this batch, what you can do is go to our website. go to our website, and when you go to our website, you need to create an account here. Once you create an account, click on Explore Courses. Now this opens the course page, okay? But to take admissions for the English batches which are available exclusively in English language, you need to click on this tile, click on UPSC IAS English, and the first option here is the May evening batch. Click on this one. Now you see the May evening batch right now is available at 41,999, but let me tell you a way where you can get the admissions to the diamond courses at a much discounted rate even compared to this 41,999. How to apply the discount? Let me tell you. Now you must be seeing a ticker which is flashing on the bottom half of your screen, right? This says that use the code ATS Live to get maximum discount. Now what you need to do to apply the code ATS Live, click on add promo code. Here you need to enter promo code and write ATS Live. Once you write ATS Live, click on apply. Right, as soon as you click on apply, see the discount of 7,000 is applicable. Diamond course is now available at 34,999, platinum at 29,999, and the gold is at 19,999. My recommendation to you is to opt for diamond batches, because these diamond batches have all the benefits that are available to students by StudyIQ. Okay, what are the benefits? This is the slide you need to refer to. I'll upload the notes in the Telegram channel after the session. You can go through them. Okay. Now let us move to another article. This appeared on page 9 of the Indian Express newspaper, and you can see sugar production is set to decline. Therefore, government has hiked fair prices of sugarcane by 4.1%. Now, how much there has been an increase in fair and remunerative price? Not important. What is important is the crop sugarcane and the fair and remunerative prices, right? So amid drop in sugar production during the current season, the center has increased the fair and remunerative prices of sugarcane by 15 rupees. So in this discussion, we'll discuss what are fair and remunerative prices and how much sugar and how is the production of sugar happening in India. Now first, you know about MSP, right? MSP or minimum support price is the prices when the farmers go to the government agencies and sell them their crops. So the money per kilogram for that particular crop the government provides to the farmers, that is called as minimum support price, and government can't give money less than the MSP for a particular crop, right? But the procurement of sugarcane is not done by any government agencies. Rather, procurement of sugarcane is done by the sugar mills, right? So when sugar mills are required to give certain amount of money to the farmers, that is called as fair and remunerative price. And this is the legally bound money that should be paid to the farmers for their cane procured by the sugar mills, right? And it is the price which is declared by the government. So government tells the sugar mills or the sugar industry that this is the price, and below this price you can't pay the farmers for their sugarcane that they are selling you. Now, who determines what should be the FRP, right? Now, it is fixed by the union government, particularly the Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs. And how does Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs comes up with a number? Because the prices are recommended to it by a commission called as Commission for Agricultural Cost and Prices. So this commission recommends to CCAs that see this should be the price and you should approve this price, and therefore it is approved by the union government, particularly Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs. Now, the payment of FRP in the country is governed by a law known as Sugarcane Control Order 1966, which mandates payment within 14 days from the date of delivery of cane. And suppose if the sugar mill owners, they do not deliver or do not pay the money within 14 days, then they are subjected to a certain penalty which is in form of interest amount, right? Now mills, they also have an option to sign an agreement with the farmers which would allow the mills to pay the farmers in installments, right? Now delays in payment, it can attract an interest rate up to 15% per annum, and the sugar commissioner can recover unpaid FRP as its dues in the revenue recovery by attaching the property of mills. So therefore this is a legal based measures that mandates the mill that below this money you can't pay to the farmers for their sugarcane, and you have to pay this money within 14 days from the time that farmers are delivering you the canes. But you have an option to give this money in installment basis on the agreement which you sign with the farmers. And in case you do not make the payment, the sugar commissioner can attach the property of the sugar mill owners and sell them and recover the money and pay to the farmers. Okay. Now the big question is, how does the Commission on Agricultural Prices come up with a number on what should be the FRP. Now the amended provision of sugarcane control order, it tells you the way on how to come at a number or what should be the FRP. Now various factors are considered. First is cost of production of sugarcane, also the return that the farmers will get in case they are growing another crop in as against sugarcane is also considered, because if they are getting more money from other crops, why would a farmer grow sugarcane? And in that regard, there will be short of sugar in India. Also, availability of sugar to consumers at a fair price is also considered, because we can't increase the FRP beyond a certain limit, otherwise it will increase the cost of production and automatically increase the cost of sugar in the market, right? Also, other factors are considered. First of all, price at which sugar is produced from the sugarcane which is sold by sugar producers, recovery of sugar from sugarcane, higher is the recovery, lesser is the price, the realization made from the sale of byproducts that sugar mill owners, when they process the sugarcane, there are certain byproducts like molasses, like bagasse, which are sold to other industries. Molasses is sold to alcohol manufacturing units, bagasse is sold to other units to generate power and animal feed, and press mud, which is, so their value is also considered when we are fixing the FRP, and reasonable margins for the growers of sugarcane is also counted, so that at least they are getting some profits out of their sugarcane growth, right? So this all factors are considered, please remember them. Now few details about the sugarcane crop, because crops and their respective details can also be asked in the exam, right? Now what you need to remember is sugarcane, they belong to bamboo family of plants and they are indigenous to India. Now it is a crop which requires long time to grow, therefore it is called as long duration crop, and at least it requires 10 to 15 months to mature depending upon the geographical condition. Now to grow sugarcane in India, you require hot and humid climate with an average temperature of at least 21 to 27 degrees centigrade, and it is usually grown well in areas which receive rainfall varying from 100 to 150 centimeters. Also, you can grow sugarcane on variety of soils. It can include loamy soils, clayey loam, black cotton soils, brown and reddish loam, and even the laterite soils. And India is the second largest exporter of sugarcane in the world, and it is a water guzzling crop, and it is often blamed for worsening of water crisis in past area. Which is the highest exporter of sugarcane in the world? It is the country called as Brazil, right? Now, sugarcane is a water guzzling crop, and whenever it is grown in a water stressed region like Punjab, like Haryana or Western UP, it leads to water shortage in the area. Now, which are areas where we see large growth of sugarcane? This is the Satluj Ganga plain, which stretches from Punjab to Bihar. This contains 51% of the total gross cropped area for sugarcane, and it is responsible for 60% of India's production. Other areas include black soil belt from Maharashtra to Tamil Nadu along the eastern slopes of Western Ghat, and also the coastal region of Andhra and Krishna Valley. So these are the major growers of sugarcane in India. Now let's see if you are able to solve these questions. This appeared in 2015. Quickly. Yes, Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs is the right answer. Another question. Here also sugarcane is the most, the least water efficient of them all. Okay. Now let's move to another article. This I have taken from the website of the Hindustan Times. Sorry for that, but why I have taken this article? Because it talks about a very important species which might be asked in the exam, right? Now, after 3 decades, endangered red-crowned roof turtles have been returned to Ganga River. These are the species that we are going to talk about in India. You can see they have a red roof over their head, so that is why they are called as red-roofed turtle, right? Now, the news that one of the most endangered turtle species, red-crowned roof turtle, has returned to Ganga after 30 years, and as many as 20 of them have been reintroduced in the river in the western region of the state, that is in the state of Uttar Pradesh. Now, half of them, they were left upstream in the part of Haidarpur wetland, which is a part of Hastinapur Wildlife Sanctuary. So, these have been in broader terms introduced in Hastinapur Wildlife Sanctuary, which is located in the western part of Uttar Pradesh. We'll deal with this, but first let us understand few facts relating to this species in news, that is red crowned roof turtle. Okay. Now this is a species of turtle which is available in fresh water, right? And it is found in deep flowing rivers with terrestrial resting sites. So they actually require not stagnant water, rather flowing water. And this turtle species, it prefers clean, unpolluted river ecosystem which are abundant in aquatic vegetation. So these turtles, they are actually eating these aquatic plants, so they need these plants to function. And also these turtles, they act as a bioindicator. What is a bioindicator? Suppose if a species is called as bioindicator, so if the health of that particular ecosystem is good, then you will find that the species are existing. So these are called as bioindicator of freshwater river ecosystem health. If the river ecosystem is in good health, you will find these species, otherwise you will not. Now this species is native to India, but they are also available in Nepal and Bangladesh. And the current confirmed habitat of these species in India is in Chambal River, that is in Chambal River Ghadial Sanctuary. There are other instances that they are found in Brahmaputra Valley, but we have not found a credible evidence of that. So only the confirmed habitat of these species in India is Chambal River. Now they are being reintroduced into Ganga also. Okay. Chambal River is a tributary of which river? Please let me know in the comment section. Now, what about these species that is in news? I have already told you we need to ascertain 3 facts: habits, habitats, as well as protection status. Now, the biological name of these species is Batagur kachuga, okay? And the physical characteristic of this species is that the size of male turtles, this particular type of turtles, is much smaller as compared to the female, because they are about half in size of females, which is very different from the other mammals. Now males, they develop a bright red coloration of the crown during the breeding season, and the carapace of this species is strongly keeled and the plastron is angulated laterally in the young one. So what is carapace and what is plastron? Let me tell you. Suppose this is the turtle, right? So here the turtle is, pardon my very bad drawing. So this is called as carapace and this is known as the bottom part called as plastron, okay. So this upper part is carapace and bottom part is plastron. Yes, you are right. Yamuna is the, Chambal is the tributary of Yamuna. Now the carapace of the species, that is the upper covering of the species, is strongly keeled, and the plastron, which is the bottom half of the turtle, it is angulated laterally in the younger one. So this is the habits of these species that you need to remember. Now, what are their important habitats, which I have already told you? These are available where? Their habitats are in the Chambal River Ghadial Sanctuary, that is in Chambal. Now the protection status about these species. What you need to remember, that these species are critically endangered, which means only hundreds of them, they exist in Chambal River. When it comes to site, these are categorized as Appendix 1 species, which means the trade of these species are prohibited because we want to control their population. And when it comes to Wildlife Protection Act of 1972, they are categorized as the highest protected species, which means you can't hunt or capture these species. If you do so, it is a criminal offense. Now the major threats that happens to their existence is habitat loss, drowning in illegal fishing nets, sand mining, as well as poaching, etc. So that is why we need to conserve these population, okay. Now, let us deal with the Hastinapur Wildlife Sanctuary. Now, this wildlife sanctuary is located in the state of Uttar Pradesh, spreading across many districts called Meerut, Muzaffarnagar, Ghaziabad, Bijnor, Meerut, Hapur and Amroha. Now, this wildlife sanctuary lies on the western bank of Ganga River. So, here Ganga River is the important river which flows through this wildlife sanctuary. Okay. Now, this wildlife sanctuary has a variety of landforms and is a mixture of different habitats. What kind of different habitats are there? There are tall wet grasslands which dominate the low-lying areas, because you understand this is very close to the Terai region in Uttar Pradesh. Also, this has dry scrub grassland which dominates the elevated alluvium deposits, because it is the river Ganga is flowing it, which makes huge alluvium deposits every year. It has swamps and marshes, as I've already told you, very close to the Terai region, and therefore this is present between the elevated grounds and the sandy beds of Ganga. And a large part of the sanctuary settled and is under cultivation, and important crops like rice, like wheat, like sugarcane are grown in this particular area. Now let us talk about animals that are present there. This protected area has swamp deer, smooth coated otter, as well as other important species are Ganges river dolphin as well as ghadial, which are present there in huge number. Also predators like Indian leopard are there, whereas other animals include cheetal, sambal deer and nilgai. Right, so these are what you need to remember. The most important species here existing already are Gangetic river dolphin as well as ghadial. What is the protection status of these species? Please let me know quickly. Now, this wildlife sanctuary is also important for conservation efforts. First is that under crocodile breeding projects, baby crocodiles, particularly ghadials, were released in the Ganga river near Hastinapur under the aegis of World Wildlife Fund for Nature (WWF) and Turtle Rehabilitation Program. It has its center near Hastinapur. So that is why this species of red-crowned hoof turtle was also introduced, and it is a part of Asian Flyaway project. And many migratory birds, both local and foreign, they flock in numbers during the numerous water bodies present in the region. So that is why it is also a home or a transit point for the birds that are undertaking migration from colder climates to warmer climates during the winter months. Okay, so this is what you need to remember about this particular species. River dolphin endangered, yes. And what about ghadial? Now let's see if you are able to solve this question. Yes, ghadial critically endangered, correct. Now it is found exclusively in stagnant freshwater wetlands and show preferences for heavily vegetated shallow water bodies. Now this is incorrect. I told you flowing river water is essential for their habitats, right? So first incorrect. The species is considered as a bioindicator of freshwater river ecosystem health, correct? Males and females are similar in size and appearance throughout the year. This is incorrect. Their size is different. Males are about half the size of females, as well as the appearance of male changes because they become red. Okay, that is why they have the name red crowned. Okay, so only second statement is correct, therefore option B is the right answer. Most of you have gotten this right. Now time is there, so let us deal with the last article also. Now, why has Pakistan put its ambitious canal project on hold? This is the subject of the article. This appeared in the website of Indian Express. Now, after weeks of protest that was happening in the Sindh province in Pakistan, the Pakistani government has announced its ambitious canal project on hold. Now, this project, which meant to transfer large amount of water of particularly Indus River system to a part in Pakistan, now this has faced problem courtesy India. Obviously, if you do terrorism in India, will stop your water. Now, the project, which was meant to irrigate millions of acres of previously uncultivable land in Pakistan, has triggered a political storm in Pakistan because the ruling party in Sindh, that is led by Asif Ali Zardari, who was the husband of the slain Prime Minister of Pakistan, Mrs. Benazir Bhutto, they are ruling the Sindh province, and the Punjab province in Pakistan is ruled by the Pakistan Muslim League, which is the part of Nawaz Sharif party. Now, both of these political parties are engaged in a tussle because why? People are alleging that once Indus River waters are not available to you, you'll send excess water from Sindh to a place in Cholistan, which is also located in the Punjab province of Pakistan. So, this is the controversy which is happening. Now, what you need to remember is this canal project was a part of Greater Green Pakistan initiative. This is an initiative where various agricultural modernization projects will be taken care of by a private company, and you know who owns that private company? Pakistani Army. Funny thing, right? So, this project was meant to modernize Pakistan agricultural sector by providing it with irrigation infrastructure, introducing advanced technology, more productive seeds, etc. And the Cholistan Canal, which has been cancelled now, was a major component of this initiative. Now, this Cholistan Canal was supposed to irrigate about 1.2 million acres of land in the southern Punjab region, particularly the Cholistan Desert. So, let us understand this Cholistan Desert and where is it located. Now, you can see this map of Pakistan, and in this Punjab province, in the southeastern part, you will see that there is an desert area known as Cholistan. Okay, so this is located in the southern part of Pakistani Punjab and is also known as Rohi. It is a part of Greater Thar Desert area which extends from Sindh province to Pakistan and also in the Indian state of Rajasthan. And the name Cholistan, it comes from a Turkic and Persian origin that means land of sands. So it is located in the Punjab province of Pakistan. Please remember that. And this is an extension of Thar Desert which stretches into India also. Major part of Thar Desert is located in India and Rajasthan. Some part of it is known as Cholistan in Punjab. So this is what this article was about. So this brings our end to our today's session. The notes for this session will be available on my Telegram channel ATS Live. So please go there and download it. And we'll see each other again tomorrow at 4. So until then, please have a very good evening and a very pleasant good night.